Welcome to a brief history of Ascentria, a century and a half of strengthening communities by empowering people to respond to life's challenges. It all started with a pious Lutheran brewmeister, Mr. Gottlieb Friedrich Burckhardt. The Burckhardt Brewery opened in 1815. And just a quick note, in 1912, in partnership with Boston's Red Sox baseball team, the Burckhardt Brewery Company brewed the Red Sox beer and pennant ale. And the Red Sox beat the New York Giants to win the World Series that year. The story goes that Gottlieb knew of a poor family, possibly in his congregation, who suffered a terrible loss, the passing of both parents, leaving 3 orphans. Gottlieb's faith called him to bring the orphans to the nearest Lutheran orphanage, which just happened to be in Mount Vernon, New York. Back then, since Gottlieb was in the Boston area, the quickest way would have been by train, about 174 miles, and at an average 20 miles per hour plus stops would have taken the better part of a full day. But for whatever reason, with the help of his pastor, Gottlieb brought the children to Mount Vernon on a beer wagon. Indeed, a bit unconventional, but he got them there, to the Wartburg Orphans Farm. And when he got there, Gottlieb felt another calling, which was to establish an orphanage in the Boston area. And that's what he did. And on October 3rd, 1872, the Martin Luther Orphans Home on Brook Farm in West Roxbury was dedicated. Gottlieb Burckhardt put into action what his faith called him to do. And that has been Ascentria's calling card, putting into action what faith calls us to do. And faith has been on the phone quite a lot since 1872. More homes for orphan children and unaccompanied minors, senior care living centers, adoption services, mental health and disability services, services for new Americans, immigration legal assistance, residential programs for parenting teens, in-home care, foster care. And our Good News Garage and Language Bank programs are modern examples of how Ascentria is growing by faith.
In 1994, visionary social activist and Lutheran Church member Hal Colston was working at a Vermont agency when one of his clients, a single mom, came to him in tears. She had just purchased a car, but the car broke down repeatedly, and the seller refused to refund her money. Hal came up with the idea for a community garage, a place where people struggling to get out of poverty could receive a car that was affordable, safe, and reliable. And in 1996, Good News Garage began to award reliable cars to families in need.
Part of the story, too, is timing and how in 1996, when it started, that's when President Clinton launched Welfare to Work. And welfare, work, the 2 for me is transportation. And we were one of 2 organizations in the country that came up with this kind of approach, and it just took off.
In 2000, G&G started the Ready to Go program, which provides rides for clients to access essential life activities, including jobs, training, and childcare. And now, jumping ahead to 2022, G&G has awarded more than 5,500 cars to families in need. And I'd like to say some of those folks have come full circle and have donated cars back to G&G. In 2001, we started the Language Bank in New Hampshire with a little over 20 interpreters, many of whom have been our clients. The first official state contract was in 2006, and we started an in-house medical interpretation training in 2009. We now employ more than 300 interpreters and have more than 300 institutional clients. As we reflect on the history of Ascentria, we grow in our appreciation of the gospel parable of the mustard seed, how that tiny seed has blossomed into a mighty tree which gives shelter under its many branches. In the beginning, we were founded and sustained by Lutheran congregations and then by many other denominations and faiths. As we grew, we partnered with national and international Lutheran ecumenical organizations, as well as philanthropic organizations, many of whom continue to work with us toward fulfilling our mission. We have opened the door to receive help from other organizations in the nonprofit and for-profit world, as well as federal, state, and local agencies. The many faces of Ascentria comprise all manner of ethnicities, nationalities, religious faiths, gender identities, and beliefs. And we are all the more committed to our calling in mission to strengthen communities by empowering people to respond to life's challenges. We envision thriving communities where everyone has the opportunity to achieve their full potential. Together with our partners, we inspire people to help one another to reach beyond their current circumstances and realize new possibilities.